Hey guys, welcome to the third episode of the I Am a Show Off pod. My name is Karina, Karina, and I am not the show off, but my company is Show Off Furniture. I'm going to keep spelling my name out for you guys until you're like, okay, we haven't memorized enough. Not sure how long it's going to take you, but I'm sure someone will let me know. Last week, I started going down the list of mistakes made in starting a dropship program. This week, let's talk about how important YouTube and podcast platforms have become for myself and my business, not only in learning how to create a website from nothing, but also for motivation, inspiration, and sometimes some faith. If I had to guess, I think I've been obsessively listening to YouTube for about 8 years now. I listened more than I watched because I usually would listen to it as I worked when I was in the corporate world. I think it started when I worked for the office supply company. When I think back before then, all I find in the Rolodex of my memories, Rolodex, I'm so old. All I find in there is this crazy girl that worked at my first buying job here in Florida. She would do things like say she twisted her ankle and needed to go home. Then she would go home and post videos on Facebook of her jumping up and down on her trampoline in her living room while wearing the same clothes she just wore to work and laughing. And she was supposed to be my assistant. But she was a hot mess. Sorry. Squirrel. If you hear a dog barking, that's just my Shiba Inu. Her name is Arepa. She's driving me crazy today. Anyway, back to YouTube. I don't remember, but if I had to guess, I'm sure I started with music like everyone else. But my anxiety at the office supply company was almost always through the roof. So I started listening to calming sounds like rain and nature, which then evolved into Oprah's Super Soul Sundays. After that, it was Deepak Chopra. Then that evolved into guided meditation at night to fall asleep to. I would fall asleep with my earbuds listening to it. Babe would come home late from work in those days and tell me not to do that. He was afraid I would strangle myself in my sleep. Is that even possible with such a thin cord? I don't know. Anyway, so when I was laid off, I started listening and obsessively watching Super Soul Sundays on Netflix and then looking up anyone that was featured on the show that moved me so I could keep learning how to control my anxiety because that had me a hot mess. Then a friend lent me the book The Secret, which I still have 4 years later. I'm sorry. I've read it twice. After that, I evolved into gratitude journaling, then vision boarding. I know I've mentioned vision boards already, but they play a part in my life, and one day I'll tell you what's on mine. So I start my day with gratitude journaling before I go through my morning rituals that help me face the day. Like literally, before I leave my bedroom, I journal, pray, read the Bible, then do yoga. Control your tears, Mom. Those Catholic school years before high school apparently they paid off. Shout out to St. Peter's School. I'm not here to talk organized religion, but only to tell you about my journey. I literally asked for an answer out loud and opened up my Bible after never before opening it. It was given to me years prior in a confirmation class I took with Babe. Not sure how my church married us 18 years ago with sacraments missing. Babe and I joked that our marriage is null and void. I tell him we are like a gang. The only way out is in a box. Anyway, back to my Bible. So I asked for an answer, like literally, God, please, I need to know if I should just keep looking for a job or start my own business. I end up miserable almost everywhere I go, and I don't want to do it anymore. I'm not good with hints, so please just give me an answer on what to do. And when I opened my Bible, it landed on Luke 11, the answer to prayer. Months later, during my morning readings, I found Matthew 7, which is also called the answer to prayers. Luke's version says prayer in plural, and Matthew's is singular, so prayer. And I think that the verbiage translates better in Matthew, so I'll tell you what that says instead. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, and the one who seeks finds. And to the one who knocks, the door will be opened. Which one of you would hand his son a stone when he asks for a loaf of bread, or a snake when he asks for a fish? If you then, who are wicked, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your heavenly Father give good things to those who ask him? So, needless to say, I stopped looking for a job after that and put all I had into Shaw Furniture. So the vision boarding and praying for things is all well and good, but you have to knock on doors and you have to look for a way to make it happen and the door will open. I'll be honest, I'm still in the seeking process when it comes to Show Off Furniture, hence this podcast. So I'm going to keep knocking on doors and seeking until the door I need to open finally does. But man, is this waiting game scary as shit. So just about every day, I listen to someone to get me in a good state of mind because I can get super busy with life. And when I find someone, I binge them for weeks. At the furniture company, I was introduced to Spotify on the first day I was given a PC. Someone came over and said he listened to Spotify all day to make the day go by. And it was one of the only things the company allowed us to download. So he downloaded it for me. The very first episode I listened to was Getting Grown with Jade and Kia. Not the very first episode, the very first podcast was Getting Grown with Jade and Kia. Then I found the Bodega Boys. Gang, gang. Eventually, I also found the JBP, which is the Joe Budden podcast. I also found one called Getting Things Done. We Study Billionaires. 10% Happier with Dan Harris. Real Talk Kim. Highest Self Podcast. Deepak Chopra's Infinite Potential. The Gary V audio experience. And of course, TED Talks. Who hasn't watched or listened to at least one of those? My list goes on and on, but I'll stop there. I remember one of my kids looked at how many hours I spent on Spotify for the year of 2018, and it read something like 3,000 or 4,000 hours. I would listen from the moment I turned my PC on and would keep it on all day. Now that I work from home, I can no longer put earbuds in to listen to what I want, because if you remember from the first episode, I told you that I sit with 2 of my 3 kids on either side of me, and I have to listen to their classes to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. But I make time either in the morning while I'm making the bed, or showering, or walking the dog, or at night, or on the weekends. I figure it out. A few months back, Babe was like, I see this is the week of TD Jakes. I binged him for about maybe 2 or 3 weeks. After TD, I did the same with Steve Harvey's motivational speeches that he does during what appears to be Family Feud breaks. At the moment, I'm going through an Eric Thompson phase. Apparently, he's also known as the hip-hop preacher. This morning, when I went to YouTube, I purposely went down the list of videos in my algorithm so I could tell you who they are by. I'll give you only the first 5. Eric Thompson, the Joe Budden podcast, Gary V, TD Jakes, and Drink Champs. Now that I look at the list, I realize it's kind of a sum of my personality. I've always felt like I'm striving to find the right balance for me between Ratchet and Righteous. YouTube also has been a lifesaver for my business. Without it, I don't see how creating my website, showoffurniture.com, would have been possible. It was definitely a collaboration between YouTube, Babe, and I. Poor Babe. I've yelled at him and let him have it more times in the creation of the site than I ever had before. I'm sorry, Babe. I didn't mean to traumatize you. He said he's never touching the site again. I joke that he has his career during the day and is an image editor at night, but with no extra pay. It's okay, I don't feel bad for him. I pay him with Nature's credit card. During the creation of the site, we destroyed it 5 times. 5 times, people. 5 heart attacks. 5 panic attacks. 5 times I felt like I wanted to throw myself on the floor in the fetal position and give up. 5 times I cried so hard that my eyes were puffy for 2 days after, every single time. 5 times that I had to start over, until Babe one day realized we could back up the site. But you know what? Every one of those 5 times, I felt like the site would be better than the previous attempt, and I would say it out loud through the tears, but it still felt like it was all over at the moment. I was so physically tired and sleep deprived that I couldn't think straight. Man, what an experience that was. But Babe and I got through it, even if he's still refusing to touch the site. His trauma is real, guys. I've been asked how I created the site because this is totally out of my wheelhouse. The way the site came to be was that I came up with the name for the company first. I kept thinking, when you buy new furniture and people come over to visit, You don't hide it or pretend it's not new and that you love it. You want to show it off. And that's how I thought of show off furniture. So once I had the name, I made sure it hadn't already been used for a URL, and it hadn't. Then I sat on that information for weeks until my brother-in-law and sister-in-law came to visit for the weekend one day, and after a few drinks, he bullied me into registering the business with the state. He's a big bully, but he means well. Thanks, B. I was afraid to do it, and I think he knew that, because that meant commitment for me. I still had a corporate job at that point, so my safety net kept me standing still. But the next day, I Googled how to create a website, and the first step was purchasing the URL. I looked for the cheapest price, and it was $8.12, guys, with WordCheap. So I bought it for 12 months. Through WordCheap, we found WordPress, and that's where the magic started. I think it cost like $175 or $176 for 12 months. They have templates you can use, and at first we used the template called Astra, A-S-T-R-A, Astra, because the YouTube tutorials use it, and we wanted to make it as simple as possible for ourselves. But every time the site crashed, I would realize I wasn't happy with it, and I wanted a different layout. We tried a few different ones, but in the end, I still wasn't happy with anything, and I decided to do it on my own. I had learned enough from YouTube and repetition that I was only kind of sure I could do it. So I tried and was able to create exactly what I wanted. Since then, I've only had one issue with the site, and that's when I was trying to create my blog's main page. I somehow made the website's main page disappear. Another panic attack, followed by a river of tears. But this time, I figured it all out on my very own, so score for me. In case you're wondering about the blog, the link can be found on showoffurniture.com, all the way at the bottom right hand corner. It's called Thoughts of a Show Off, and I only have one post written, but I get there eventually. I just have a lot of stuff going on right now, so keep checking back. So between YouTube and Spotify, I have managed to evolve into something better than what I was. And isn't that the point? 20 years ago, my crazy 20-year-old self never would have imagined how I am today or what I'm doing. But I'm so grateful for my journey. Not everyone has the guts to start a business or given the opportunity to do it. So I'm going to do the best I can and share my experience. Babe and I were talking the other day and saying that the creation of a website is so easy and cheap if you just do it yourself. And I'm surprised and disappointed that those who have done it before us, whether successfully or unsuccessfully, haven't shared the wealth. So I'm going to do it because that's my small part in envisioning us all creating generational wealth for our families. Just imagine the possibilities. The end. That's it for today, guys. Thanks for listening. I realize time is a precious commodity, and I appreciate you spending some on me. If you like what you've heard so far, please subscribe, tell your friends, and share. Also, check out my website, showoffurniture.com. Show off, and then furniture. 3 F's, guys. It's a place where your personality meets your home. I'm also all over social media. My handle is showoffurniture, just like the website, everywhere except for Twitter, where it's showoffurn. Showoff, F-U-R-N. Till next time, guys. May we all have peace of mind and be at peace in our hearts. Bye.